going to help you out with the labelings of the article. So this is the outer aspect and we're going to label it. I have put on numbers on this diagram so it is helpful for you. Okay, over here, this part, starting with 1, this part is known as tragus. Most of us know about it. But there's another part that is number 2 of the same, it looks like the same thing, but this is known as antitragus. This is tragus, this is antitragus. Over here, this is the concha of the auricle. Moving forward to 4. This convexity, 4th, is the intertragic notch. This is the intertragic notch. Over here, the 5th part. The 5th part is the lobule of the auricle. The 6th part is the auricular tubercle. The auricular tubercle of Darwin. Over here, the 7th part is known as the helix, while the 8th part, which is a continuity of the helix, is the crux of helix. 9th part is the antihelix. The 10th is the crura of antihelix. The 11th is the scaphoid fossa. This is the scaphoid fossa. And this 12th over here is the triangular fossa of the auricle. This part is triangular fossa of the auricle. I'll repeat. 1 is the tragus, the 2 is the antitragus, 3 is the concha of the auricle, 4th is the intertragic notch, 5th is the lobule of the auricle, 6th is the anti-auricular tubercle of Darwin, 7th is the helix, 8th is the crux of helix, 9th is the antihelix, 10th is the crura of helix and crura of antihelix, and 11th is the scaphoid fossa, and 12th is the triangular fossa. That's it for this diagram. This is the second model of the ear, and this has only 2 labelings, as we can see 1 and 2. The first one is quite obvious. This is the external acoustic meatus, and while the second one is the temporalis muscle. That is it for this diagram. This is another model that we have, and it has 6 labelings. The first labeling is this part. This is the internal carotid artery as it can be seen from this model. The second part is this part, that's the tensor tympani muscle. This one is the tensor tympani muscle. The third over here is the tensor villi palatini, this part. The fourth over here is the pharyngeotympanic tube. This over here is the pharyngeotympanic tube, while the fifth is the cartilaginous part of the pharyngeotympanic tube. Cartilaginous part of the pharyngeotympanic tube. This is the pharyngeotympanic tube. This is the tensor tympani muscle, and this is the tensor villi palatini, and this one was the internal carotid artery. What is this part? This is the tympanic membrane. So this is the last diagram for the ear, and as you can see, this part is the first part. It has 13 labelings on the total, and this is the first labeling, that is 1. It has tympanic, this is called tympanic membrane. It is also called pars tensa. This is the tympanic membrane. This part, that is 2, is called the malleus. It's a bone known as malleus. The 3 is the incus. The 4th is the